there, Coastal Bend Meteorologist Carly Smith is here. We've got your 3 weather impact coming up, breaking down everything with the tropics. So this is your tropical chat. During tropical season, especially when there is any type of threat that is possible in the Gulf of Mexico, we will be doing these weekdays, or I will be doing these weekdays between 10 and 10:30. The exact time, I'm not gonna commit to a specific time because depending on the new data that comes out, it may be a little delayed or it may be earlier. But right now, this is what we know. So we have a broad low that is to form early next week. Movement to the north and northwest into the Gulf of Mexico late next week is likely. And rough seas, higher rip current risk is going to be likely late next week and into the weekend. The exact path and strength of the system is still very unknown. So in the meantime, enjoy the weekend forecast while it is nice. So we do have a low chance of rain. We're seeing spotty showers throughout the day today as well. Still hot and humid, 93 degrees, both your high today and tomorrow. And then Sunday, we could be around 94 degrees. It will be hot and a little humid, a little breezy through the weekend as well, but seas are pretty calm in terms of what we are anticipating heading into next week. We did have our full moon. You may have noticed it, the harvest moon. It's still looking big and bright, especially there at the horizon. So yeah, coastal flooding still a possibility, especially along our Gulf-facing beaches. But overall, no major impacts from the full moon, but we could be dealing with coastal flooding and things like that, depending on how the tropics evolve. So when it comes to our wave height forecast for anyone with offshore plans, this is your Saturday forecast. So we do see the wave heights pick up a little bit, maybe 2 to 3 foot waves out in the Gulf of Mexico. So that may push the tide up as well. We have our onshore wind in place on top of being post full moon. So that does tend to have that tidal surge that comes along with the full moon this time of year. These are our spring tides, and it's called that not because it's in the spring, but just because around full moon you get that bigger bulge in the tide, essentially. So regardless, Monday still looking, well, I don't know what button I hit, but you don't know. Anyway, Monday and Tuesday still looking pretty calm in the Gulf of Mexico, but by the time we get to Wednesday, this is when we could see things enhancing. So between Sunday and Wednesday, that's when we're going to see the low actually develop. And once we get a low that's actually in the Western Caribbean or the Southern Gulf of Mexico, the forecasting, the unknowns will get way better. But until now, unfortunately, there's still a lot of unknowns in the forecast. But I do want to emphasize that no matter what path the system does take, it likely will create some rougher conditions out in the Gulf of Mexico. How rough and how big our swell is going to wind up being is still a little bit to be determined because it's going to rely a lot on the exact position and strength and how long it sits in the Gulf of Mexico, and all of that data is still a little bit unknown. But once we get into the second half of next week and even into the weekend, I would anticipate some rough seas across the Gulf of Mexico. I know yesterday we had a couple of people watching with cruises to the Caribbean. Well, over the weekend, it is looking pretty rough out there across the Gulf, and so those cruise ships will be rocking, and you will be dodging that system. But it's a big Gulf. The waves will be rough, but once we have something in the middle of the Gulf of Mexico, it's easier to go around it or make changes as a ship captain. So right now, here's our tropical overview. This is a 40% chance of development. Those 2 low areas are low chance of developing areas. One is the remnants of Gordon. They have a 20% chance of developing. They're going to stay there in the Central Atlantic. No threat really to the continental United States. But this area, yes. We are starting to see some convection there in Central America. That likely is not going to become our low. That's just, we have that Central American gyre that's kind of just spinning over Central America. That's going to continue to create some convection. Once we get a piece of energy that breaks apart from that low that's parked over Central America, that's when we have our chance of development. And that doesn't look like it will happen again until anytime between Sunday and Wednesday of next week. And once we have a low, then we get better forecast data. But for now, it's just too unknown. So what's the weather impact? What do I suggest? Just keep an eye on the latest forecast updates. So that's a little TV icon there on the screen. Next week, really keep an eye, especially if you have any plans to be in the Gulf of Mexico or on our local beaches. That's where the greatest impact will be, no matter where the path takes it, right? So no, anywhere, if a tropical system winds up anywhere in the Gulf of Mexico, our beaches are impacted in some way, shape, or form. How intense that impact is, again, you can't really say at this point. So here are the caveats or the problems with this forecast. First of all model agreement in the fact that we're going to have high pressure over Texas over this weekend. So that's going to keep us hot for the weekend. Rainfall is trending down by Sunday and even into Monday, but by Tuesday, Wednesday, we're going to see some shifts in the high, which could allow for tropical moisture and kind of those sea breeze showers to start again. So the model trend is slower development there in the Western Caribbean. So it may not develop. We were kind of hoping we would have some sort of low by Sunday. The trend now is closer to Wednesday. So we may not have a low to really latch onto until Wednesday. So that changes how the next trough coming across the United States, which you see here with an associated cold front, will interact with our high pressure as well. And this is where the models split. So Wednesday, by the way, is 6 days out. Thursday is 7 days out. Friday is 8 days out. So our forecast is already still pretty poor at this point by Wednesday. There's great agreement through Monday and Tuesday, really, at this point, because all the models are agreeing that there's a little bit of a later development of that broad low. But Wednesday is where things split. So this particular model that we are looking at right now is going to be the GFS. And the GFS has the high setting up over Florida, and it keeps this high pressure stronger. And that's going to cause this low to split, essentially, over Texas. So you get a break-off low or a cut-off low that sets up. And what that does is it will likely pull toward the south, the southeast. Around that edge of the high pressure, the stronger the system is, the more likely it will go north. However, with this scenario, though, it does open up more of the Gulf of Mexico. So even the GFS and our ensemble data that's posted on KIIITV.com, more of the GFS models are going split wide open across the Gulf, whereas earlier in the week they were trying to keep it more in the eastern Gulf of Mexico. So the Gulf is open with the slower front and that eastern high, but this scenario does tend to lean toward a better chance of a system going north, right? However, here's the other scenario. So this is the European model. It has a stronger trough. So we started this at Wednesday. Wednesday through Friday, that trough is stronger. There's no cutoff low. What you see here is that low pretty strong over the eastern United States, the Midwest to Northeast. That cold front digs all the way south into the Gulf of Mexico, and that's going to keep anything that tries to develop in the Western Caribbean and possibly the Bay of Campeche. That high pressure parked over Texas has flow around the high pressure going from north to south. That also pushes anything to the south. This scenario, though, could lead to this storm being weaker, lingering a little bit more in the Bay of Campeche, and still having some sort of impact as we head into 2 weeks from now. So that would be the end of September and beginning of October in this scenario. Or it could strengthen enough to just continue to go right into Mexico. But these are two very, very different scenarios, and that's why this forecast is so difficult to really pin down or be confident in at this point. So that's why I'm just saying, stay up to date with the latest and be prepared for some rough conditions in the Gulf, no matter what plays out by the end of next week. With the front possible, right? Even with that cutoff low developing, we still will probably be in a little bit, well, the low, we could still be, a westerly flow. We could have a westerly flow around that cutoff low, right? Both of those scenarios, whether it's a north to south wind or a west to east wind, will lower our dew points as we head into next week. So we are looking at lower dew points and cooler heat index values at this point. Whether or not there's a true cold front that comes through, I think we're still going to be not in the the main impact zone of that cold front, we're still probably going to have high temperatures in the 90s. We just could see drier air move in. So again, over the weekend or today and tomorrow, we still have some moisture in place that could still spin up some, or not spin up, but could still create some thunderstorms, especially with sea breeze. Additionally, our winds are pretty light at the surface. We could continue to see some tropical funnels out there. So just be alert. These tropical funnels, they rarely touch the ground. If they do, it's usually over water, just because convection takes place easier over that humid environment over the Gulf of Mexico. And so you could get a tropical funnel that reaches the surface over the water. That would be a water spout. They usually don't last very long on land. If they do, and they're relatively weak. So not too much to worry about, but high pressure is one of the reasons why our winds are lighter at the surface. Now as high pressure shifts into Sunday, our winds pick up a bit. We're a little drier, but Monday into Tuesday with that high pressure shifting there into the southeast, we do see the return of our moisture, Gulf moisture coming back into play with onshore flow, not only at the surface, but also in the mid to upper levels of the atmosphere. Now, with that being said, this is a scenario where the cold front does make it a little further south. High pressure sets up behind the front over Texas and brings in that drier air for us, which would lower our dew point. And this is the scenario that keeps tropical moisture in the southern Gulf. So the Yucatan Peninsula, the Bay of Campeche, things stay relatively weaker. The front kind of stalls, and so this scenario limits any chance of anything impacting us and limits our rainfall. But again, that's just a scenario at this point. Don't hold it accountable. Right now, this is what's happening. We have some of those spotty showers. So we've got those popping up into San Patricio County, Refugio County, as well as to our south there into portions of Claiborne County. Nueces County can see some of this spotty activity. It's going to remain spotty between now and about 2 p.m. I think that's our best opportunity for rain. By the time we're getting, look at that, there's one of those thunderstorms. Looks beautiful there on the Lex camera. It does feel like it's 103, by the way, already off. Whew. That's not fun. But we are going to see heat index values around 108, still feeling like around 100 at 6 p.m. It was like pregame activities are getting underway. Then as we kick off football, here's a look at our air temperatures. We'll show those on Futurecast. So you see the storms really between now and, like I said, 2 p.m. We get some activity inland, but watch what happens by kickoff. 7, clearing skies out. Temperatures in the 80s. We do have some gusty wind, could be around 15 to 20 mile per hour gusts throughout the game, but not worried about rain, lightning, anything in that nature. So that's what we have for Friday Night Lights in your 7-day forecast. Here's what you can expect for the upcoming week. Fall starts on Sunday, y'all, and it is not going to feel like fall. We do have that hope for the front, September 26th. Still a lot of variables in that forecast, though, for the end of the 7-day forecast. Through Tuesday, I'm pretty confident in what's going to play out. We could continue to see a spotty shower, 30% chance of those spotty showers throughout the day today, but going away by the time the blitz is getting underway. So thank y'all for watching. I'm meteorologist Carly Smith. I'm going to pull this up full screen and check out any of the comments, questions, concerns, and then we'll end this live update. Yeah, October. Texas has only had 3 landfalling hurricanes. I haven't gotten into the tropical storm data, but 3 landfalling hurricanes in October. I believe October 15th or 16th is the latest. So once we get past mid-October, we're pretty smooth sailing when it comes to the tropics. But remember, hurricane season does last through November 3rd. So that was Thumper John, his comment there. Chewy, good morning. Thank you for watching, Kathy. I hope this was helpful. Hey, Rick, thanks for watching. Aldo, thanks for watching. Y'all are so great. I really appreciate the love in the comments section, and I hope it's helpful. If there's anything I can continue to do to make this forecast more informative or helpful, please leave that in the comments. But for now, I hope y'all have a wonderful weekend, and we'll get back to this live update Monday. See you then.